What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Prod.Richie, and today I'm doing my first ever beat breakdown on my YouTube channel. A lot of y'all been asking me, how do I make beats on BANDLAB? What do I use? How do I mix my samples? And today I'll be getting into that a little bit in my first video. So a little bit of background information about me, how I started making beats. I started making beats in like my 10th grade year, and that was about 3 years ago. So I've been producing for 3 years, but I really took it serious for 2 years. So ever since then, I just been on BANDLAB. I really been on BANDLAB since about 2017, 2016. So I really like have a lot of experience with BANDLAB, but making beats was a whole new world for me. So I had to really take my time and learn everything, make sure I'm doing it properly. Started my YouTube channel. I just had a bunch of beats and really nothing to show for it. So I just decided to download CapCut. My friend showed me how to make visualizers for beats. I did it. And then surprisingly, NUMB went viral. I didn't expect it at all because NUMB was really like one of my most simplest beats. But everybody loved it because of the sample, I guess. So today we're going to get into how I did that. So firstly, I found this sample. I was so bored one day. I was just doom scrolling on Instagram Reels, and I came across this video of a guy singing in his bedroom, and this is the song that he was singing. So I was like, damn, like what song is this? This is sound fire on a drill beat, right? So I found the song, found the guy's Instagram, and for everybody asking, what is the sample? The sample is Jake, This Is What Winter Feels Like. JVKE, This Is What Winter Feels Like. I have a bunch of comments and DMs asking me what the sample is for NUMB. That's the sample right there. So I downloaded it into BANDLAB, chopped it up, and this was the first chop I got. So I just decided to loop this last part right here because I just didn't want it to repeat. I didn't want the hook to repeat throughout the whole thing. Like I wanted some versatility with the chop at least, because I didn't do much with the chop, as you can see. But I just wanted it to be a little bit different, a little bit creative. So I'm going to show you the second chop I got right now. All right, so the second chop I got is right here. Pretty simple, pretty quick. So that's the second chop I got right there. And, you know, pretty much just kept it simple. A tip for all producers out there, like, keeping it simple on the beat is really so much better than adding, like, so much sounds and trying to be, like, you know, so extra. Like, you know, you got to remember that you got to leave space for the artist's vocals to rap on the beat, or else it won't sound good. You'll have a good beat with a lot of sounds, but nobody would want to rap on it. It'll just be more of like a dance beat, or maybe it'll go viral on TikTok, but it doesn't have no actual chance of being rapped on. Just something that everybody enjoys listening to. So first, I went in with the hi-hats. Hi-hat pattern is pretty simple. Right? So the hi-hats, oh yeah, forgot to mention, the drums I used was strictly BANDLAB for this beat right here. I didn't have no drum kits or anything. The only thing I did use from a drum kit was the whip for the Jersey part, and I'll get into that when we get there. But as far as everything else, this is strictly from BANDLAB. If you guys need help finding drum kits or finding sounds from BANDLAB, you could DM me on Instagram or drop your Instagram in the comments, and I'll DM you and I'll help you out. But secondly, I got into the snaps. I say sound selection is really important when it comes to making beats. You don't want something that's going to be too loud, too aggressive, and it doesn't match the vibe of what you're trying to go for, and it doesn't match the sample, you know. So that's why I decided to choose these. Like, you know, the hi-hat is present, but it's soft, and, you know, it's not too loud, it's not hitting too hard. So I saw the snaps, you know, I could have made the snaps a little bit lower, I feel like, now that I listened to it a year later. But, you know, it all worked out perfectly fine. So Yeah, this snap is also from BANDLAB. And then I went in with the stomps. So the stomp pattern used to be my favorite thing to do. Just because I felt like it was different from the Cash Cobain stomp and like all the other stomps that producers use on a regular basis. I haven't really heard nobody use this stomp besides me and a couple other producers. But here's the stomp pattern I went in with. So the stomp pattern is pretty simple, but it adds a nice little cadence to it. So this is the drums. Like, this is the drums we have so far. This is the drums we started out with. Just a simple hi-hat pattern, snaps, stomps. You know, when you're making your drum pattern, you always want to make sure it has a little bounce to it, not just a regular, you know, you know, that's cool too, depending on what you're going for. But if you want to make something more like, you know, a little bit groovy, like an artist could have different flows on there, the flow switches, you know, you want to make it a little more bouncier. So then I went ahead and went in with the 808s. Right? The 808 pattern is very simple. The reason I went simple on the 808 pattern also is because I didn't want the 808 to overpower the sample. That's another comment I got a lot about this beat, that my 808s were too low or too quiet, or it wasn't hitting hard enough. But that's originally what I went for. But since I got so much feedback on my 808s, that's what made NUMB Part 2. If y'all could tell on the differences, NUMB Part 2, I went way harder on the 808s and kicks than Part 1. But I still feel like Part 1 is like way better. There's more space on the beat, and the 808 pattern is way more simple, way more groovier, vibey, whatever you want to call it. I just like it personally. So all together, you know, you heard that. And then I went in, did a Jersey part. I just wanted to add a kick real quick. So, you know, the Jersey pattern is pretty simple. This is what you got to do. Right? Pretty simple and pretty easy. And this is what I was talking about when I went in and added the whip. As you can see, it says Doler whip crack. The whip sound is basically this right here, that, you know, the infamous Jersey sound that everybody hears. Right? Pretty easy, pretty simple. And then I decided to layer some hi-hats on there. The same hi-hats that I used for the drill part of the beat, I used for the Jersey. But I just added a couple extra hats at the end. As you can see right here. Right here, I added a couple, you know, four hats. And I added four hats, and I pitched it down to 12. And I just put the fade effect on there, so it could sound like, you know, not too overpowering, but you can still tell it's there. So this is how the Jersey part sounds all together. And then right here is where I added the 808 back for the Jersey. So right here, right now is where I went in with the 808 pattern. I basically just copied the Jersey pattern that I did with the kick, but I just pitched it up a couple semitones. And then I went back to the regular. Everybody asking, how do I do 808s on BANDLAB? Basically, you just want to get an 808 in BANDLAB, right? And then you want to click on it. The audio is going to switch, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So you want to click on your 808, right? Click the three dots, and then you go to transpose. Transpose is where you change the notes. So you see the 808 is on 4. That's why it sounds higher than this 808 right here when it comes to the original drill part. So you just want to make sure that you always switch it to even numbers when you're doing 808 slides, or you want to make the 808 match the sample. You want to have it, maybe you could up it by 2, 4, 6, 8. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the highest you really would go is 6. So you really don't Probably never gonna need more than 6. But if you want to make it low, you go -2, 4, and then you'll never really go past 4 for real, unless it's like a different beat, right? So we're gonna put this back to 4, and that's how I do my 808s. Let's get into mixing the sample. So one thing you have to learn about mixing the sample is, number one, as a sample drill producer, every sample requires a different mix. Now, me personally, I have a preset that helps me like mix my samples. I forgot how I really came up with it, but I was just in the lab trying stuff out, and I came up with something that works for me, came up with something that gives me that feel of like, all right, I'm listening to a sample drill beat. So I'm gonna show you that preset right now, actually. Just giving you guys a heads up, the audio will switch and my voice might sound lower. So I advise y'all to turn your volume up so I can hear what I'm saying. All right, cool. So we here now. This is the preset that I'm using. Well, I use 4.2 NUMB. You guys could go ahead and copy this because nothing really changes. Nothing changes. It's just playing around with the EQ and the auto wah. BL driver, EQ, auto wah. And we're gonna go back. So I took all the low end out. The low is like completely down. The mids is halfway down, and then the highs, you see where the highs is at. So me personally, I think something that works for my samples that I choose, I have it's kind of like you see a pattern here. So it's like one is never higher than the other, right? It's always something different. So this is always down here. This is something like right there, and then this is something like right here. You can probably hear the changes right now, right? So boom, that's the EQ, and then I just like to have that pattern, have that even balance. This is 30, 15, 5. Kind of even. The auto wah, you can do a lot of things with the auto wah. I'll probably get into it in another video, what you can do with this once I really learn how to like really use it to my best ability. But you can really do a lot with this right here. Like, this is a great plugin for BANDLAB. BL driver, you never want to have your drive all the way up. I'm sorry if this just scared you a little bit, whatever, caught you off guard, but you never want to have your drive all the way up. This is for like rock star music. So I usually just turn my drive down and then just have the tone somewhere in the highs right here around 6,000 or 16,000 for max clarity, whatever. I feel like that makes the sample clear. If you turn it all the way down, this is what it does. It slowly gets, faded, and then you turn it back up, and now you're back to where, you can hear yourself, hear the sample. So yeah, that's how I mix my samples. Without the preset, this is how the sample sounds. So for this sample right here, there's a lot of bass. Not a lot of bass, but the bass is very present. So one thing about it, you don't want the bass present because you're going to lay your own 808s, or you're going to end up laying your own bass notes, whatever you do. You want to filter the bass out, and I think that's where the low filter comes in. So that's why, I filter my samples out, and it came out sounding like this instead. So hearing the piano is perfect because that's the melody that it keeps, and then you can hear the vocals pretty clear, and the ambient sounds pretty clear, but the bass is not present, but the 808s make up for it right here. If you leave your bass up, if you leave the bass in the sample and then you try to add 808s, it's going to sound very muddy. It's going to sound disgusting, sound nasty. Nobody's going to like that. Artists do not like that. So please, y'all, mix y'all samples correctly, especially producing on BANDLAB. The plugins on here are kind of like 50-50, but once you really learn how to manipulate these to your own, to how you want it to sound, it really comes out great. So here it is, the final product, 2 NUMB. As y'all know, NUMB has been used by J5, Stacks BW, Shy K used part 2. A lot of people use NUMB. There's so much people. Shout out to ELM Jose. So much people use NUMB. I can't even remember right now. Like, I just remember my DMs blowing up every other day. Somebody using NUMB. Shout out to Stacks BW and his camp. Stacks BW was the first drill rapper to tap in Show Love. He actually previewed the song and tagged me, something that a lot of artists do not do. So shout out to Stacks BW and his camp. They always show love to their producers. But yeah, Stacks BW was definitely the first placement I got. Then I eventually, somebody from the UK, you know, a lot of artists from New York, Brooklyn to be exact. I'm from Brooklyn. So shout out to all the Brooklyn artists doing their thing. But yeah, man, this how NUMB went up. NUMB just, I don't even know how it went. So how it went this crazy. It's sitting over 330K right now on YouTube. It's my most viral beat. I never expected it to go this crazy, but I guess when it comes to the sample choice, people just love to hear the sample. So, you know, this beat went crazy. Like, you know, a lot of people tell me that they don't even make music, but they just like to listen to the beat. Or they'll just turn the beat on and just listen to it. You know, I recently saw it on SoundCloud. You know, people in the comments just saying, yeah, this is on my playlist. Like, I go to school listening to this beat. I go to work listening to this beat. So, you know, that means a lot to me because my dream was to never be a producer. I never thought of being a producer. It was just something random I started doing. I was in school one day, just bored, doing anything. And I found out that I could make beats on BANDLAB. So ever since then, I just took it full circle. And yeah, man, now I'm Prod.Richie, 2,000 subs on YouTube. We on the road to 3K. If y'all want any more videos like this, doing beat breakdowns, tips and tricks, how to mix your beats, how to mix your samples, where I get my drum kits from, you could all comment that down below. And I'm going to be making these videos real quick and easy because it ain't nothing to, you know, explain, help somebody out, help somebody be great. You know, so if you guys got any specific beat requests that y'all want me to break down and show y'all how I made and show y'all what I used, then, you know, you could comment that down below also. And I'll be doing these videos. I'll be replying to everybody. I'm not Hollywood. I'll try my best to get to everybody. So, yeah, thank y'all for watching. See y'all on the next one.
Learn about this shit the hallway. When I walk with your pole, don't you point like I'm in the eighth. Out of respect for them niggas, don't let me see I'm on the boat. Like I'm in the shit, trying to look for a hush. Like don't mention them boys that he chumps. I'm with the family back while they know what's up in the age where we give it tough.